Just imagine that you're nearly done with 6 weeks of grueling day in and day out basic training, where training instructors have been yelling. There's spit flying in your face. Your body hurts from all the running, push-ups and pull-ups, and you're just plain tired. You miss your friends, your family, maybe your girlfriend or your boyfriend back home. And then you're told you're going to have to go through all that all over again. I think this is what my dad's fellow recruits were threatened with. To get on with this story, he told me that as a young man, he had never had occasion to pray before, but figured this was as good as reason as any. So he did one night while waiting in a military cell. Here was his prayer. God, I don't know if you can hear me or if you even exist, but if you do, I could sure use your help. I've been accused of doing something I didn't do, and now it looks like I'm going to prison. I don't want to go, and I sure don't deserve to go. I'd be really grateful for any help you could give me. The day of the trial, he felt this electricity in the air and the presence and power of some awesome mystical presence right there with him. And so much so that he said he could feel the hair on the back of his neck standing up, as if this presence were saying, look and be amazed at what I can accomplish. Right before his eyes, all those lies fell apart and he was exonerated and let go. A few years later, Dad married my mom and we met in the Air Force. When I asked them how they met, she told me the following. While they were both attending one of the Air Force parades, he caught her eye as he was in formation walking by first wiggling his nose. And then after she did this double take, wiggling his ears, and then glancing at her with a grin on his face. Later, after the marriage, sometime in the spring of 1979, Dad was unhappy with not having any children and tricked my mom into having a child with him, even after she had a miscarriage, explicitly telling him that she didn't want to try again. But for a man like him, this wouldn't stop him. He told me that he messed with her ovulation calendar somehow, and then told her it was okay to have sex. 9 months later, in the winter of 1980, out I came. Dad's always been known to be very impish and impulsive like that. In fact, coming up, I think you'll agree, is a pretty funny picture of how those two typically interacted. My mom told me of a time when Dad, who had a pet snake, knowing that she was deathly afraid of it, told her that he had left it in the dryer and to watch and make sure it didn't escape. He watched and waited until she fell asleep on the couch, snuck in, opened the dryer, and then took off for the day. She awoke with a start, staring wildly at the dryer door, obviously ajar. The snake was nowhere to be seen. Imagining that it could be anywhere, about to lash out and bite her, she got up on all fours on the coffee table and wouldn't budge from there until he came home. Man, was she angry. But in his typical style, with that devil-may-care grin and the twinkle in his eye, he just laughed and continued to tease her about it. Well, the marriage didn't last long, and they divorced when I was 2, and they never had any more children. So I remained an only child of divorced parents. Shortly thereafter, I was placed in foster care after my dad remarried. And at the age of 5 until about 12, bounced around from home to home and school to school, never being able to completely set down roots or cultivate any long-term friendships. Of course, that kind of life would be difficult for any child my age, and I came to see that people could be very cruel, that life could be harsh if you weren't paying very close attention, that there was true evil in the world. And that realization drove me to invent ways to feel safe. I might not be safe, but I could trick my mind into feeling safe. It was my vivid imagination which allowed me to do that for years on end. Now today, 30 or so years later, I've transformed myself from a scared little boy into a mentally and emotionally and spiritually strong man who often challenges not only myself but others to do the supposedly impossible. For instance, after my father passed away this year, I wanted to confirm to myself that there was indeed life after death. That there was something beyond what I knew through my senses, more than the inert material world that I saw around me. And I found myself turning back to some research that I had dug into a few years ago while homeless, that of telekinesis, or moving objects with your mind. I found some YouTube videos, bought a book authored by a man who taught this in Denver, and then proceeded to practice the TK drills. Within about 2 months, I was able to spin a piece of tin foil balanced on a needle, embedded in clay, placed under a glass jar from 20 feet away. Impossible, you say? I've never believed there was such a thing. It just comes down to the knowledge needed and the consistent practice. How did I ever get to be this way? Simple. I developed some rules to become successful as I saw it. Now there are 2 main strategies I have adopted to help pull me through life no matter what it throws my way. One is to believe wholeheartedly that I have a unique destiny ordained by that mystical presence my dad spoke of. And the second is to envision monumental goals which will help me to concretely achieve that destiny. The first and central goal doubles as my destiny. This first goal was to leave behind a legacy, such a lasting positive impression for centuries to come, by helping to solve global issues such as pollution, starvation, prejudice, war, disease, the destruction of our planet and home, and by helping humanity as a whole reach the next stage of our evolution. The next 4 goals are in service of this first central goal, as in, how could I possibly accomplish something so extraordinary when I am just one man? I've spent decades asking this very question, refining my strategy. And there were 5 core things that I needed to address, mainly energy, time, character, competence, and resources. My second goal was to become so wealthy that I could afford all the resources I'd ever need. Becoming a trillionaire would suffice. My third goal was to become a grandmaster in the martial arts. My fourth goal was to become superhuman, performing such feats as telekinesis, levitation, flying, teleporting, and the like. My fifth and final goal would be geared toward discovering how to lengthen the human lifespan, either mystically or by more scientific means. But the end goal would be to lengthen our lives at least another couple of 100 years. Now, whether I achieved any of these goals was mainly immaterial, because the goals served to motivate and inspire me, setting me aflame with the fire of desire for life and to become bigger than I currently was. The goals themselves weren't as important as the sheer magnitude of them. I wanted to continue to grow and transform into an ever smarter, stronger, wiser, and more loving human being. This story is coming to a close, but it's not over by a long shot. This has been my wild, wonderful, terrible, magical story. Are you yourself on a magical journey? And if not, why not? What would it take to feel that magic again for yourself when you were a little kid? Well, thank you. That's all I have to say. And have a wonderful night. May you all find your own deeply felt sense of purpose.